Let's talk about Netflix Originals Godzilla Anime Trilogy. I had to get that out of my system. Alright, so real quickly, I want to go ahead and say that my first two Godzilla films when I was a kid was Godzilla vs. Gigan and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original. And ever since then, I've discovered that there are more Godzilla films, and I tried to watch all of them. I haven't been able to yet, but the ones I have seen, for the most part, I love. Unfortunately, there were a few of them that I didn't care for, but most of them were great. And with the recent releases of Shin Godzilla, with Legendary Pictures Godzilla, they're amazing. They're awesome. They're so good. And I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I actually do like the 1998 Matthew Broderick Godzilla. It's not Godzilla, but I still like it. I have a soft spot for it. So, yeah. So when I heard that they were going to make an anime Godzilla trilogy, I was actually very excited. I really wanted to see these movies. Because it was animated instead of live action, there was a lot they could do with it. They could include more monsters, and there's so much, and like the battles would be so much greater and so much flashier. There's so much they can do. And like with Toho teaming up with Netflix Originals and making this an anime, what could go wrong? What happened? What? I don't like this trilogy. I don't. There's so much lost potential. There isn't really any other monsters except for one. There's one other monster. Alright. So the first Godzilla anime movie was, I believe, called Godzilla Planet of Monsters. What monsters? There were no monsters other than these weird flying bat creatures. Okay. It turns out that the planet, humans, or so many years ago, Godzilla was destroying the Earth. The humans had to leave with these two alien species, but they left, and apparently Mechagodzilla was in the film, but he was like this small, shrimpy, didn't look right, and it was destroyed. They left the planet, and I guess time sped up on Earth, because they returned to Earth, but it's the future. And once they land on the planet, the whole planet is like adapted to Godzilla, basically. And there's like these very dangerous new flying creatures and dangerous plants and stuff. It's pretty ridiculous. And the rest of the movie they spend trying to kill Godzilla. Here's probably one of the biggest issues, especially with the first two films. There was way too much exposition and explaining and scenes of them talking and nothing else going on. Way too much. And the first movie, boring. It was so boring. It was... I mean, classic Godzilla movies kind of do this too, but usually you have a few more, like, Godzilla interactions, and and generally they weren't like, you could overlook them and they were still really good films. The older, this one you could say was kind of boring, but there was really good payoffs and there was still a better story structure. So yeah. The cool thing though, I do have to say, I can't really remember the action. There's not a lot of action I can remember other than a few tanks here and there and some other things. But Godzilla, basically, they kill Godzilla. But wait, there's more! Turns out there's an even bigger, giant Godzilla, the first one that actually destroyed the Earth originally, emerges, and it's gigantic. It is huge. It's the biggest version of Godzilla we've ever seen. And this was cool. This was actually really cool. And it obliterates everyone. Not everyone, but it basically kills everyone. For the most part. The characters, I honestly can't remember any of their names. I believe the main character's name was Haruro. I hope I didn't butcher that name. But he's the main human character, and he has this absolute hatred for Godzilla because he was there when Godzilla was destroying the Earth. Like I said, they did this weird time jump thing. So he's the main character, and you know what? He's not a bad character. None of these characters are bad, but they aren't really memorable either. So yeah. First one was just boring. The final fight kind of saved the film. Kind of. But I can't even remember it. It's really when the giant Godzilla emerges and kills everyone. Now the second film, this time they introduced these moth people. What was the second film called? It was Godzilla, I think, Godzilla Monster City, something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, this one, I was really super excited for this one because Mechagodzilla. I read that Mechagodzilla was going to be in this one. The trailers actually were kind of badass. And, I was really excited to see Mechagodzilla battle Godzilla. And in this one, they introduced two new ideas. One was the Moth People. Moth People, obviously Mothra is going to be a big part of this, or you would think. Mothra's not in this one. Her egg is, I think, but she's not actually in it. But, and then the second thing they introduced, which was actually a pretty cool concept, it was a neat little idea, and it was Mechagodzilla, basically the first one that was destroyed, adapted onto the planet and turned itself into a city. And actually, that was pretty cool. Now, that was it. That was all the cool things. It was long, it was boring, and, like, basically, and I was watching the second one with my little brother, and a lot of the times, this was either him or I. Oh, shit, did I miss something? What just happened? Oh my gosh! They can't stop talking! Something happened! Yeah. And there are some important conversations that you kind of need to pay attention to, but there's a whole lot of nothing, and and they repeat themselves way too damn often, and they're just over analyzing and over explaining everything. Just show me Godzilla. So while they're in the city, they kind of create these Mechagodzilla copies. And I was waiting the entire time for Mechagodzilla to show up. Like, a giant version of Mechagodzilla to fight against Godzilla. Here's my next disappointment. Mechagodzilla wasn't even in the film. There was no Mechagodzilla. Disappointing. The first two films were just so disappointing. And you know what? It's not even, like, I get a lot of time and effort went into this, and it looked like it was a very difficult process to make, but I would have liked it better if they may have included Biolante. Biolante easily could have been in this. Or some other monster, maybe a more obscure one like Kumunga or Kumungus or hell, Titanosaurus. You easily could have put in a few monsters, but no. And they couldn't even get Mechagodzilla in it. Well, they did, but for like 2 seconds in the first one, and then that was it. And he looked ridiculous. Anyway, so they end up battling Godzilla again, and actually the final fight was kind of cool, a little bit better than the first. And they're about to kill Godzilla, but something happens, and so the pilots for these mini Mechagodzillas are turning into this metal, and from what I understand, because there was an alien species with them, this alien species was talking about the only way to defeat a monster is to become a monster. So, okay, I got the message behind that. But Haruo decided that this is not the way, that they, like, obviously they want to destroy Godzilla, but this is not the way. Not this this is sacrificing too many lives. So basically he pulls the plug, and the Godzilla, they almost defeat and kill this Godzilla, but he survives, and he obliterates the entire city. Everything's gone, everyone's gone, it's done, it's over. It was kind of cool, but the damage is done. The movie was terrible. Now the third one, I actually kind of liked this one. I did. This one wasn't as bad as the first two. But, so basically in this one, the other alien species summons King Ghidorah. And King Ghidorah is this huge three-headed dragon from another dimension. And I actually did like this version of King Ghidorah. And he comes in and basically wipes out the rest of what's left of humanity, except for the very few who's on the planet with the moth people. So King Ghidorah is now getting ready to fight Godzilla, and this actually, so here's another thing. The fighting between the monsters, there really isn't a whole lot of it, so it's nothing like too flashy or too, and I can kind of see where they were coming from, but it was kind of lame. But this one, in this movie, it was kind of interesting. King Ghidorah's 3 heads are wrapped around Godzilla, and Godzilla can't do anything. He is powerless. Ghidorah made Godzilla his bitch. And it was kind of cool. It was really, like, the art style looked really good here. But, that's it. Basically, the rest of the fight is King Ghidorah's latched on to Godzilla, and Godzilla can't do anything, and he's slowly dying. And the main, they all kind of realized that, what was this movie called? Godzilla and the Planet Eater. In this one, Godzilla, or the main character realizes that Ghidorah is gonna, like, destroy the world. He's going, like, if they can't, like, Godzilla's bad, but Ghidorah is going to destroy reality, basically. So the human character Haruo ends up going to stop the main alien guy, and it turns out he's controlling Ghidorah, and he ends up killing him, and then Ghidorah gets like free a little bit, and Godzilla then destroys 3 heads, which actually was kind of cool. And that was it. That was the whole Godzilla trilogy. The first 2 were boring. They were terrible. The third one was actually kind of good. But still, compared with everything I went through, the payoff was kind of good, but I'm not gonna sit to watch all of that again just to see an awesome fight. And it wasn't even that awesome. I mean, it was cool, and it was memorable. The Ghidorah part was memorable, but that's it. That's all they had. So, the film, the trilogy was just bad, and there's so much more potential I think they could have done that would have made it way better. And we're not getting that. And again, I just gotta say, what happened? What happened? What happened? Toho, Netflix. You're making an anime Godzilla film. This should have been way better. But it wasn't. It was executed very poorly. Oh, Mothra was in the third film in a spirit form to help our main hero character. Okay. Fine. Yeah, I didn't like this trilogy, and very disappointed. Very disappointed. I think they could have done a lot more, but they didn't, and it suffered for it. What's really boggles my mind is Shin Godzilla was a really, really good film. And yeah, it got boring at times too, but the payoff was pretty damn good. There were some really memorable scenes. How they defeated Godzilla was kind of bad, but, it was good. It was a good film. And I was waiting for Shin Godzilla 2. They canceled Shin Godzilla 2 for this crappy anime trilogy. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Anyway, yeah, the Godzilla anime trilogy just didn't do it for me. It was bad. Yep. Well, I can't wait for King of the Monsters. I cannot wait for that one. So thank you all so much for watching this very interesting video. If you agree with me or disagree with me, comment down below, like my video, and I could use some subscriptions, please. What was your favorite Godzilla film? And hell, what's your favorite Godzilla monster? Mine is Mechagodzilla 3 from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 3 and Mechagodzilla Tokyo SOS, or Godzilla vs. Tokyo SOS. And actually they renamed that Mechagodzilla to Kiryu. Don't know why, but he's my favorite. So, ciao.